The boxing world is buzzing after an undefeated fighter got knocked out and sent straight into a coma. It's a tragic incident and heartbreaking to watch. The poor guy's name is Aidos Yerbossynuly, and we hope he recovers soon. If you want to learn more about the latest boxing news, stick around until the end of the video. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, what even happened? Aidos Yerbossynuly got knocked out during the 12th round of his fight against David Morrell. Considering he was previously undefeated, the shock of being knocked out in such a harsh manner must have gotten to him a little too much, as once he was knocked to the canvas, he was unable to get up on his own. David Morrell then helped him with getting back to his corner. We have to say it must be a sucky feeling, being carried over to your corner by the guy who just put you in that position. Regardless, this is no situation to laugh at, as Aidos was reportedly injured so severely that he was placed into a medically induced coma soon after being transferred to a hospital. According to doctors who are currently working with the fighter at Hennepin County Medical Center, he has internal bleeding in his brain. That's a truly frightening situation to be caught in. We're not gonna lie. Our thoughts go out to his family and loved ones. We can't imagine what they must be going through as they see Aidos in this state. We hope he recovers soon. Next up, how did this happen in the first place? This was the Kazakhstani national's third ever time fighting in America. He was facing off against David Morrell to try and claim his WBA super middleweight title. Morrell is no small fry when it comes to the sport of boxing, though. He is currently undefeated with 8 wins to his name, and 7 of those are from knockouts. That's insane to think about. He managed to knock down Aidos twice during the fight before the referee finally decided to call the fight in favor of Morrell. It was a heartbreaking loss for the Kazakhstani, as up until this fight, he was also undefeated. It's probably the worst way to lose a title fight and the most dangerous. Hopefully, he recovers and gets back up on his feet. The fight was stopped 26 seconds before the final bell rang. Morrell ended the fight with a big right hook. Even though he tried to get up, it was clear that he was down and out for the fight, as he could barely walk in a straight line. Morrell even had to help him back to his corner, as he was struggling with even being able to stand up straight. What happened to the poor guy in the aftermath of the fight is truly a tragedy. We wouldn't wish this on our worst enemies. We hope he recovers soon and gets better. He has the heart of a lion, considering he managed to stand up even after that brutal knockout. Coming up, how's David Morrell doing? David Morrell is probably feeling bad about the whole incident, considering he accidentally managed to hurt his opponent so badly that he ended up hospitalized in critical condition. Incidents like these usually end up leaving a boxer unsure of his abilities and mentally scarred. We hope he doesn't allow this incident to mess with him. The fight was a pretty one-sided affair, no matter how you look at it. Morrell dominated the fight throughout and was in control of the situation from the get-go. He was higher up on 2 of the judges' scorecards and held a 108-101 advantage in almost every round. Assistant trainer Emmanuel Savoy said that Aidos' camp wanted to stop the fight in the 9th round. However, such was the undying spirit of Aidos that he chose to continue the fight to wrench the title away from Morrell. His head coach also examined him and said that nothing was wrong with him and that he was fit to fight. We can imagine how he must have felt seeing his team ready to throw in the towel at any moment. Morrell will no doubt go on to defend his title at a later date. As though he didn't sustain any physical injuries, we're sure the mental impact he had after managing to do all that to Aidos will deter him from stepping into the ring for a while. We just hope this doesn't mean he loses the stomach or will to fight, as he has a great career ahead of him. Finally, is he getting better? Last we heard about the whole situation, he was in a serious condition. The doctors talked about how he had internal bleeding within his brain and that he had to be put into a medically induced coma to be treated efficiently. It's pretty sad to see the state he's in. Just goes to remind you how dangerous of a sport boxing can be. Up until this fight, Yerbossynuly held an undefeated record of winning all 16 of his professional fights. He was no doubt confident in his ability to defeat the champion and take home the title. It's just sad that his great journey had to come to a halt in such a way. We know that he's a fighter, and we have no doubt that he'll fight his way to recovery. Love from Kazakhstan nationals is pouring in for Aidos on Twitter, and everyone is wishing him a speedy recovery. We hope he can get back up on his feet and manage to continue living like a normal person again. As we all know, people who suffer such injuries often end up with lifelong impairments to their physical being. We just hope that this isn't the case with Yerbossynuly, as he was still young and seemed like he had a great career ahead of him. Here's to hoping we see him in the ring soon. Now let's check out 3 of the worst injuries ever seen during a boxing match. First up, Badu Jack versus Marcus Brown. Jack sustained a heavy cut to his forehead midway through his WBC light heavyweight fight against Marcus Brown. The injury was so horrific horrific that fans described it as looking like an axe had cut him on the forehead and had split his head in two. In case you're wondering, this wound was a result of headbutting taking place. There's a reason it's not allowed in the first place. It happened during the 7th round. So what happened was that Brown and Badu butted heads, and it resulted in Badu's head being split wide open. The wound is called the axe wound for a reason, folks. The Cutsman was barely able to stop the injury from bleeding out all over Badu's face. For some reason, Badu was allowed to continue. Everyone could see that he was struggling to make it to the end of the fight. The fact that his wound was still open and was continuously getting bashed makes you wonder. He must either have a skull of steel, or he's the luckiest man alive considering he managed to escape that bout without suffering from a major brain injury. Next up, Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallen. Fury faced off against Wallen last September and suffered a huge gash above his right eye. After the fight, he revealed that it required 47 stitches to fix up his face. Imagine the insane amount of power you have to get hit by to be cut up that badly. You could see how throughout the fight Fury's face was getting covered by the blood. Despite the cut man's best efforts, the cut was so deep that first aid had no chance of helping Fury out during that fight. It's obvious Fury learned his lesson after this huge scare. Later on, during his fight against Wilder, he enlisted the help of legendary cutman Jacob Duran to make sure nothing like that happens again. Though, as it turned out, he battered the American to a pulp and barely needed any help in the cuts department. Still, though, it doesn't hurt to be extra careful. Better to be safe than sorry is our motto. One thing is for sure, though. We don't think Fury will be cheaping out on a cutman anytime soon. Finally, Mason Cartwright versus Darren Tetley. This one took gruesome to a whole new level. Bruised eye sockets and lips cut up and hanging on by a thread. We can't begin to fathom how these guys managed to go on and continue to fight after suffering terrible injuries like these. It's insane to see these guys continue to get battered on open wounds and still manage to remain standing. These two welterweights put on a grand show for the audience in attendance as they went at each other like animals. By the time the 9th round rolled around, the doctor decided that this matchup couldn't continue and stopped the fight. It's a good thing he did because it looked like Cartwright's lip was hanging by a strand. Darren Tetley was crowned the new WBO welterweight champion, though we can't be too sure about how he feels about his win considering it was a stoppage due to medical reasons. Well, that's a wrap for this video. Do you think we'll see Aidos back on his feet soon? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.